don't know whether the word means earth or human. And they celebrate this in Tunisia till this day, that word.
Right.
Ka in the Western literature is the Roman acronym for land. He said, we're going to Afri land, where the Morush, the blacks, live. So one brother got on me and said, small saying the word Moors mean black, and it comes from the Roman word, from the Greek roots, that, you know, but we are never calling ourselves any of those things.
Right.
This is the outsiders, invaders calling us these things.
That's because when you go over there, they ain't saying I'm African. They just say you my brother or you my sister. And we're going to barter something.
The word Africa catches on in the age of imperialism, during probably, what should I say, from the 1400s to the 1920s, when European, in order to define, organize, and control stuff, start naming things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, starting with the Berlin Conference in 1834, 35. So, well, the key to this, excuse me, Dr. Noble says, study history, it'll erase the white man's mystery. Study history will erase the white man's mystery. He says history is yesterday, your miracle is today, your mystery is tomorrow, but you must master the mystery to manifest your miracle. And you can't master the mystery unless you know your history.
Which that they done burnt up and stuff.
Let me tell you something. That's what they like for us to think.
Huh?
That's what they like for us to think.
No, I'm saying far as when they saying if you go back certain places and they journey throughout travel, they was burning down. The first thing they did ran into
but we still got it. The reason you are here today, the reason I left my house and came, the reason I took off a mask to talk to you and to him, is because that history lives in every cell in your body.
Mm-hmm.
What we need is a stimulus.
There you go. We need you to get these other dudes and put it together so we know what's happening, man. Right. But I need my knowledge from y'all. What I'm saying, Reggie? Like what I'm here to do. The shorties come up to me right now. Man, where we come from? I don't want to be the guy.
But from now on, you can say we're God, of course, having the human experience.
Right, exactly, and we earth people.
And when they ask you, well, what does that mean? You just let them know that every human being is an expression of an aspect of the divine essence, having their peculiar experience. But all of us have the potential of the totality, and that's where relationships comes in. When you meet a woman, you see her walking down the street. You don't know her name. You don't know her background. You don't know her history. We usually act like, man, she's so fine. But walking right past her and across the street is like 20 others finer than she is physically. But something about that one make you focus on see so fine. You know what the something is? The vibration. You're all in the same vibratory space. So for now, because then you have to build once you make contact. If you make contact out of ignorance and you make contact where you just, I like to call scavenging the physical, then you're going to lose all of that. Mm-hmm. You have to back up. Once that attraction hits you, bam! Instead of rushing in and grabbing, back up and look and then start inquiring. What spirits is walking in this temple called the body?
Right. And then like for my...
Listen to the words, and I say things for a reason. Mm-hmm. What spirit is walking in this temple called the body?
Right.
You see? And so then it comes back to the question of identity. Who are we? We are, like Elijah Muhammad said, be the original man.
Right. And I don't see nothing wrong with that.
No, but you're going to have to be able to break it down to people, because they're going to ask you just like they asked them, what do you mean the original man?
Right.
You tell them. When God decided to manifest as a human, he manifested as a black man or a black woman. I ain't going to get in no trouble with them sisters.
Yeah.
But you got it. Capone said a moment ago in terms of talking about his genealogy, he said he had a certain percentage from Nigeria.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful, but when our ancestors first came here, there wasn't no Nigeria, right? When our ancestors first came here, there wasn't even no Yoruba. Yeah, right? And so if you look at, I have had a document I was looking at this morning, the Yoruba nation in Nigeria and the Akan nation in Ghana is 99.9% genetically the same black people. Okay. They're culturally different.
Right.
Because they live in different ecology, different environment, and have to deal with different realities in nature to do food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. So they had to create different ways of getting that. And then they had to explain the reality of cosmology and ecology to themselves. So they had different ways of doing that. But what are all of them have in common? They're trying to explain cosmology and ecology and our relationship to all of that. That's what they're doing in Zululand. That's what they're doing in Kemetic. That's what they're doing in Congo. That's what they're doing in West Africa. We are the universe. The Earth is not some stationary flat ball. It is just another object spinning in outer space. We are space aliens.
Right.
No joke. We are in outer space spinning on this thing. All right? Folks on Mars or whatever looking at us say, who them aliens over there? Because we spinning out there just like they're spinning. But the white man makes us think we're stationary someplace looking at everything else spinning. No, we're one of the things that's doing the spinning, and we have a relationship to them. The vibration of Mars touches you. That's why when the brothers be doing, what is it called, astronomy was a way to explain the fundamentals and the laws of astrology to the masses who didn't have that time to study and observe and learn the science on their own. So astronomy explains the effect of the things that is learned from astronomy to the people who it is being affected.
Right.
So back to your identity. One may say, we could be any of those things. You can be a Hebrew Israelite if you want to, but you can't let that be all you are.
Oh, right.
You can be an Ethiopian if you want to, but that ain't all you are. You could be a Moor if you want to. I mean, I have the classical physique of someone who would call someone a Moor, but that would only be a fragment of an experience in the life of the human being on the planet, especially in the geography we call Africa. And it was an experience that the guy down in Congo didn't even know was happening, could care less. The people who build in Great Zimbabwe don't know nothing but no Hebrew Israelite. They don't know nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when we allow ourselves to label ourselves like the white man does in these little boxes, and all these boxes got 4 sides, and if anybody punctures your box, you at war with them, and yet you trying to puncture the box to get out of it. So I am the world. Right. I am the universe. I am an expression of an aspect of the totality of everything that is. That's how the African identify themselves. That's why when you go to their shrine, you know, you see somebody go pick up some dirt, pick up a piece of grass, get in their hand, start rubbing it, spit on it. You dying now, talking about, I need to get on that plane and get back to New York. And they do their little stuff, maybe put something on it and take a piece of fire and light it, throw it up in the air, spin it around, and then rub that stuff on you, and you got better, but you never stop and ask why.
Right.
They reconnected you with the universe that you came from so that they can give you the harmony and balance within yourself to heal yourself, because you're the only one that can heal yourself, and that's all Western medicine do. It gives you something to placate, reduce the pain and the other distractions so the body can heal itself, but it don't give you nothing to heal you. But when we do it in our rhythmic, natural way, we ready to run away from it because we don't understand the sacred science of the ancestors. That's because we don't understand we are the ancestors. And if we can grasp that we are the ancestors and the genesis of the first ancestor, the divine itself, that makes you God, having a human experience. That's your identity. Anybody want to challenge that? Break it down.
Break it down. I got a question for you, brother. I've been in the same place where you've been at, and I've been like in all different religions, from Islam, Christianity, and people always ask me, so what religion are you? I say I'm every religion because I'm the creator. I'm the beginning of everything. But my question to you is what you just said just now. You said that when God created the first man, he created you, the original man. So when you say God, who is God?
Well, I'm just using God because I speak English. I can say Oludumare if you want me to do it in Yoruba. I can pick another word. But we're talking about what we call the divine causation and sustainer of everything. And what the Africans said as far as I have been able to understand, that what we're calling God or what we're calling the divine is the totality of everything that is. And you are simply an aspect of that. Any aspect of a thing contains the total possibility of the thing. That's the power that they keep suppressing in us, keeping us ignorant of who we really are. Right. And when we see brothers or sisters do these extraordinary, magnificent things, we go, damn. But that's the possibility of anybody who's conscious. When the brother, let me just go back, the brother who was at Johns Hopkins, who was a janitor or something, and became a heart surgeon, never went to medical school a day. And there was another brother down in South Africa who also was a janitor, dropped out of the fourth grade, a carpenter, dropped out in the 4th grade, and the white boy had to bring him in to form the first heart transplant. Brother ain't never been to high school, let alone medical school. So what do you say to that?
Right.
But that's what the purpose seemingly was for all religions.
Right.
But when you have a limited mind, the European has a limited capacity. He could see the physical and he could see the intellectual, but he couldn't see the spiritual. So he could only write a book that expressed the physical and the intellectual. What black people did with the Bible over here and even with the Quran, we brought in the spiritual. And then you find the white boy, Arab Muslim, would say, we don't recognize the Nation of Islam. No, you don't, because it's beyond you. Because it's got a spiritual component to it. They said, that's a black church. That's a black Baptist church. Yeah, because it has a spiritual component to it. Because long before Jesse Jackson said African American in the 1700s, black folks had already founded the African Baptist Church and the African Methodist Church. In 1892, T. Thomas Fortune found the Afro-American League before Malcolm X. That's why history erases the mystery. See, you've got to learn the basic fundamentals of your history. Booker T. Washington, let me just show you a scenario. Right now, most young people think of Booker T. Washington as an Uncle Tom. And they think of Marcus Garvey as this big up revolutionary nationalist. But Booker T. Washington left us Tuskegee University. Uncle Toms don't do that. Booker T. Washington invited Marcus Garvey to bring his program to America. Right. Uncle Toms don't do that. Booker T. Washington was in touch with Marcus Garvey for 5 years by mail before any other black American knew there was a Marcus Garvey. All those letters and papers is in the Schomburg Library. That's why history erases the mystery. They say, oh, W.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington had a big fight. Booker T. Washington paid W.B. Du Bois' way to England and went with him to England to set up the design for the Pan-African Congress.
And hired him in his university.
You know? And I mean, Du Bois. And because Booker didn't go back to the conference, why did he have to go back? He had set it up, he had paid for it, he used his publicity machine to spread the word. But when we don't know that, then our enemy can tell us which one of our brothers and sisters we should walk with and which one we shouldn't.
Right. And in my notes, it was stating that using the term Uncle Tom wasn't a good thing.
Yeah, because Uncle Tom was a cool dude.
He was a good guy. He actually was the first, like Harriet Tubman.
Right.
Like he was the guy, and I forgot his original name, and that's why it's like, see, in my notes, I didn't have y'all numbers. So it might be stuff that I search or come across that I would love to send to you all. You know, we gonna come to Black News 102, but it be other stuff like I'm speaking on the brother Dane Calloway, and it's another brother too. I can't think of his name. I just know the music. He got a chant before his video come on. Hoof.
Oh yeah, I know
that brother.
Some of his stuff is deep, but then I don't criticize it because if the glass is only 3/4 full and there's a little oil on top, I ain't gonna fuss about that. because he's doing better than most. I love the music too, and that little face.
And that's where I be coming in with Sinetta when I say, look, we can't have you in the Don King situation of feeling where people feel like they can't come to you for certain knowledges that they have. We want you to have an open embrace to everybody. Anybody that got something to say, and then you weed your way through people. But people that we seeing doing this work, like the brother we speaking on and the Dane Callaways, we don't need it. We separate already. Right. Let's pull them in, whether we got to Zoom interview them or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Because these brothers is doing some good work too. They doing some good work, but it's keep being separate. Like for Dane, it makes it seem like if you not saying you from the Cherokee tribe, he don't want to be bothered. You see what I'm saying? And he shouldn't have to feel that way.
Yeah, and me and Dane probably got to meet, because I did 5 years ago our family reunion on the Cherokee reservation up in the mountains in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Because the Cherokee is not a single nation. They took all of the nations on the East Coast, South Carolina, and lumped them into the Cherokee.
Right.
I'm a part of the Chicora Nation. But I'm also, I'm one of those Africans who was here before Columbus. I know exactly who I am.
Right.
I'm from the Gullah Geechee community. Mm-hmm. You could look at me and see who I am. Mm-hmm. But the Chicora Nation was the nation that lived in South Carolina along the coast of what is now Georgetown, Myrtle Beach area. And that's where the Spanish came when we overthrew them, burned the damn ships down and ran them up out of there. Then we amalgamated into the native population of there. It was called the Chicora Nation. They wouldn't even give them Native American status until 1970, because they said they were too black.
Wow. Right.
But there are other nations there that I grew up in. I used to go and help clean the mounds where my people are buried. Mm-hmm. You had the Waccamaw, you had the PD, you had the Owendo, all there. You know, if you see some of our people in those woods, because some of us didn't come out of the Freewood, because we lived the Freewood. Mm-hmm. I mean, the European were calling us the Freewood niggas.
Right.
Okay? Because they didn't come up in there until the 60s. All right?
You said the PD?
Freewood niggas. That's what we were called. All right? White folks didn't come up in the Freewood until after the 60s, during the late 60s, they start coming up in there. And that's
so for the Gullah Geechees, like my family with him, he was born down there in in South Carolina, Utahville, and then we got some more family in Myrtle Beach. Yeah, so I just went down there.
I'm from Myrtle Beach, Georgetown.
Go on that Gullah Geechee tour. Mm-hmm. You know.
You see what you're doing.
Well, I think what the problem is in much of the discussions that I've seen over the years, that's what makes your discussion so important, brother. Oh, what's the old man name? Oh, God, he's not Neely Fuller. The other light-skinned, bald-headed, 89 years old.
Still alive?
Yeah, out of D.C. It'll come to me. But he is explaining that the African sees the world as a whole that he then divides to understand. The white man sees the world as a bunch of pieces that he's trying to make into a whole.
Not brother Phil Valentine, right?
No, he's already 89 years old.
Okay.
He'll come, but fantastic brother. He's been out here a long time. One of the most brilliant black men I know walking the earth right now.
Right.
Just cool as can be.
So just not to cut you off. So I'm looking at that ancestry thing, and it say Nigeria 33%, Mali. So there go my brother Mansa Musa.
Yeah,
19% Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu people. 17%.
And I got all of those in mind.
Yeah, Benin and Togo.
I got all of those too.
13%, Senegal 5%, England and Northwestern Europe 3%, Wales 3%.
Now let me show you a little secret. Take the borders off of Africa and throw them away.
Okay.
And you're just seeing one people.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Uh-huh. Pick those lines up off the page, throw them away. Mm-hmm. It's just one big family. They just have different cultural spaces, different political spaces, you know.
That's what they did with England. Right?
Yeah.
With England and stuff like that. They don't divide it to the gods, they don't go. How deep do they go with the Europeans?
Well, but let me bring it back. I want to bring it back in and swing it into a discussion that he's going to have as he's moving and dealing with people. Let's look at the three holy books of the West, so-called, the Torah, the Quran, and the Bible. Most people reference them but never really read them. Right? And if you read them, they're nothing but metaphors and stories of how to do what Reggie was talking about earlier, how to learn certain principles, how to learn certain ethical, moral lessons. And so if you see a story about, let me think of one, Cain killing Abel, right? What's the story about? It's about envy and jealousy.
Right.
Okay. And so one is supposed to be a farmer. He's tilling the land. He's planting soil. He's growing trees and vegetables. The other is raising sheep and lamb, and he's slaughtering. But one envies the other because one has a closer relationship with nature than the other one has. So you're talking about the fundamentals of even today. Today, as always in the history of human existence, the most fundamental need that the human being have is for food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. Nothing else we are discussing has any value except for the purpose of those 5 things, right? And if you can keep that in your foundational understanding, then you understand why everything else is being done. Food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security. In our modern world, Dr. Jeffries taught us, how do you get control of the ability to provide for yourself and your group food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security? You got to then control the economic, politics, and culture where you live. Malcolm X called that black nationalism. So come back to these books. What are these books about? All of them is about a group of people who come into a body of knowledge. They say they come into the knowledge through these prophets, but it doesn't matter what they call them. Somebody brought them information on how to organize their lives so they can provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security.
And that was my answer to if a person say, hey, you're not from Arabia, why you want to be Muslim and this and that? And I say, well, if just from reading the Quran or what it would state or do good deeds and love our people, I see those similarities in myself. Yeah. So that's why it's like, I don't have to be no super religious person, but if I'm a believe in any book or whatever they got, that's going to be the one that strikes my interest the most. And that's how I deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Because like brothers in Philly that I know, you might be Sunni, cool, but stop having that Willie Lynch theory anger in you against the minister in the Nation of Islam or Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam. Stop having that in you. Like, because if in some cases you can go over there and they'll treat you like how they really gonna treat you. Right. You know what I'm saying? So every time you're not gonna be they brother as you think you are. And how the minister say too, if we so much of y'all brother, y'all know this and that, why y'all even indulging in these liquor stores and all that in our communities? And you supposed to be Muslim. And
he can go on and on.
It can go on and on, right?
But I'm working to give you some tools now. You seem to be pretty good with your tools.
Yeah, I'm on it, man. Like this mean the work. You know how they say it's things that you want to do before you leave this earth. Right. One of mine was to touch the motherland, and I was fortunate to go north, south, east, and west. So I basically covered the continent. I met Don King was one. I ain't gonna lie, I sat down at the table with old Trump, and he gave us some game on far as every 5 to 7 years the bankruptcy thing and all that. Like, man, I don't care what y'all do. So I did have a different outlook when people are, he racist and this and that. And I'm like, y'all must don't know who his friends was or his homies was before he got into office. Because he'd be right in here with us, kicking it, listening to this too.
International Business Consortium.
Man, yeah, exactly. Okay. So, and then now my next thing was on my list to come here amongst the elders. And then I was able to do that.
Let's come back to the books. That's what those 3 books are. In terms of, that's why history is important. What happens in ancient Kemet? This is where we have our first major contact with white folks. Starting with the Hyksos invasion, the Hittite invasion, the Assyrian invasion, the second Hittite invasion, the second Assyrian invasion, then the first Persian invasion, the second Persian invasion, then the Greek invasion, then the Roman invasion, and then the children of the Greeks and the Romans, the mulattoized children, we call the Arab invasion. When you study those invasions, you'll see where the fractured came. You see? You'll see where we are fighting back and how we have to fight back. Because at first, we didn't come from a war culture. Because we didn't need a war culture. We didn't come from a killing human being culture. If we had a beef, Reggie is king number one, you king number two. Reggie called me his hero. You call Black your hero. Your hero goes out there and battle it out, but not to the death. They battle it out on behalf of the two nations. Whichever hero, that's what that whole wrestling system you see they call Greek wrestling, and you see it all over the walls in Kemet. That whole martial arts system that they call in Tai Chi now, you see it all over the walls in Kemet. We had these fighting systems, but we didn't kill each other.
Right.
Whoever won, then that's which king won, and you can go into the conflict resolution settlement based on that. In comes somebody that will murder 100 people in a minute to take some barley. Unheard of. Unimaginable in our psyche. But what happens when they start killing thousands of your people? You have to fall back and make an adjustment and figure out, okay, the only way I can stop them, I got to kill thousands of them. But remember, the minute you make that decision, you got to go into a transformation process that is going to corrupt you just like it is corrupted.
Right.
And if you don't leave in place your system of decontamination, then you're going to be where we find ourselves at today, trying to find our decontamination chamber, which is our culture and our history and our sacred science, which we call spirituality, and relearn how to use them again. Now, we've never lost all of it. We've always had piece of it. Otherwise, we never would have survived this thing. We've always had aspects of Africa. We ain't never lost Africa. That's the biggest lie anybody ever told. What we lost is our ability to develop institutions to constantly replicate it. So we was constantly hanging on to fragments and hiding fragments
and misleading
putting it in this book and this book, or putting it in this religion and hiding it here. And then after a while, we began to lose the intergenerational transmission of how we hid things, even here. And that's why now you youngsters have to go back to history.
And I want to make it cool to go back to history, because a lot of these kids now, they feel like we weren't born back then. We don't know about that. We don't care about that.
History will erase the mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you look at real history, you're going to see white folks become peripheralized. Even in America, we are the primary history makers. We are the agriculturalists that's running the tobacco farm, the cotton farm, the rice farm. He don't have none of this knowledge. We are running it. We're the persons designing the big house. We're the one making the bricks to build the big house. We're mixing the mortar to build the big house. We came up with the design. If you can go back as far as ancient Kemet, ancient Ghana, ancient Benin, and there's pictures and paintings. We already had the grid streets laid out before we ever came here. We taught him to do this, okay? When his first traffic light, that's us. The first traffic light in London and France, that's us. The first desktop computer, that's us. The first internet, that's us. The first email, that's us. The first man to get out in space, that's the sisters put that stuff together. Yeah. That's them. We now go around with the GPS, that's another sister. Put that together. The probe that landed on Mars, that's a brother from Mali that put that together. Take us out of the equation. No, let's go back. George Washington Carver. And what he did, we just talked about the peanut, but we didn't teach how Carver taught crop rotation to put the nitrogen back in the soil, which saved the economy of the South. I mean, and that's just a little piece of what he did. We go to Lewis Latimer. White boys in England came up with the concept of a light bulb, but they couldn't keep it burning. And the white boys in England was coming out of the France school of thought, and they'd copied what they saw as a light bulb in ancient Kemet, but they didn't know how to keep it going. Lewis Latimer come up with the carbon filament and made it practical. That's us. Alexander Graham Bell was one of Latimer's best friends. We don't be thinking about these things. That's why history erased the mystery. They went to school together. And when my boy Lewis Latimer got out of the Navy, He hooks up with his boy Bell. Bell's father is a Bell. The one, the telephone one. That's Bell, right?
Yeah.
His father's going deaf, so Bell's trying to come up with a hearing aid thing. That picture you see at the first telephone that you see in all the books drawn, that's Louis Latimer. He was a graphic artist. He drew that. Yeah. So when you look at what makes America and the Western world what it is us. So if we tell history like it should be, he gonna be the marginalized peripheral thief, murderer, terrorizer, and brigand, and the people who have constructed even this poor model of a civilization under duress has been us. And that's why history, like Dr. Noble says, will erase the white man mystery and give you a chance to truly analyze how to restore the institutions that will recreate you, so that we don't even need the Islamic model or the Christian model or the Hebrew model. They're good models, but they only contain fragments of the decontaminating process.
So you think the brother, what was the brother just passed on and gave the minister all them books? Was it him? Dr. Ben. So what's the hold up with them books? What are them books? We need to...
The books weren't, the family owns the books.
Yeah.
The family of Dr. Ben owns the books. Dr. Ben made a pledge to the minister.
Right, I was with them that day.
Yeah.
But the books belong to the family.
You know.
The family says that's our inheritance. And so, but books are just books. What we're talking about
is the body of information.
Right.
That, let me tell you a little secret. You've had the body of information in your hands. You just don't know you got it because you don't know your history. So you don't know how it got to where you got it. Show you, for instance, my name when I was an imam, I was Al-Hajj Amin Ashahid. I was one of the few brothers that never had no Abdullah in his name, because I was nobody's slave. I wasn't even going to be no Allah's slave. So what does Ashahid means? Amin Ashahid. That's the Arabic for what? The faithful witness. Who's the faithful witness? That is an aspect of Allah. Allah is the symbol of the totality of everything. Now, in the Quran, you got a concept called the 99 names of God. But they don't really teach that. People reference it. But the 99 names or the 99 pearls of faith is the very foundation, and not the rituals, just praying 5 times a day and woo-doing and all that shit. What if you, someplace you can't woo-do? It tells you in the book, if you're in the desert, you woo-do with sand. So it wasn't about physical cleansing, it was about symbolic cleansing to start with. But we get hung up on rituals and forget what the ritual was supposed to be instructing us. When Reggie was talking about those qualities and attributes, the 99 names represent the 99 qualities that makes up the divinity as far as they were able to know. Now, the Hebrews, they only had 12 of them. They call them the 12 tribes, but it's not tribes. It's 12 sets of qualities that makes up their notion of divinity. Ancient Kemet, you have how many in Ma'at?
54 names of Ra.
Right. So we had thousands of these qualities and attributes that our ancestors had figured out, that allows you not only to build the human character, but the family character and the community character based on these common principles. That's how you build the nation's character. That's how you build civilization's character. And so that's what bodies of knowledge is about. Religions, none of them started out as religion. All 3 of them started out as ideological, political instrument, because all 3 of them was a part of a conquest process in Northeast Africa to get hold of an information to see if they could replicate the social order and the civilization we had done that they had now come in and destroyed militarily. And they weren't able to do it to this day. So what we've got to understand, that's why I always come back to, I'm God having a human experience. All that information belonged to me. All right? So I'm not submitting to nothing except the only thing that's greater than me. Remember in the Roots story? Y'all ever seen Roots? When the baby is born, what is that baby's told? He's held up to the universe and said, behold, the only thing greater than yourself is the universe itself. That's what most people didn't get it. They thought he was looking at the moon or something. No, the only thing greater than yourself is the universe of which you're a part of. And that's what the holy books are supposed to be trying to convey, these bodies of qualities and attributes that builds the character of the human being so that he behave in a manner that we refer to as being godlike or divine-like, and could then contribute to building a society based on peace. Right. And so all of them have a little bit of it, but we're big enough now that we can go beyond the boundaries of our oppressor's mental captivity that he calls religions, and see what it is our ancestors had that he copied those fragments from and began to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Right. We are Humpty Dumpty. That, Humpty Dumpty's supposed to be an egg that fell off the fence and break up. Right. Nobody can put the eggs there. We are Humpty Dumpty, and we can put ourselves back together again, but it's history and culture and our understanding of it, and character being the core of it. But never ever say again, we've lost it. We never lost it. We hit it, but we were living much of it. Most of the things you did, let's come back to your mom and the projects. Mom knew your ass was at war. Man. Okay? Mom just tried to get to part of the battlefield that was less dramatic than the other part of the battlefield. You know what I'm saying? Because Mom understood the boundaries out of which she could not go because her assets didn't allow it. But she used whatever assets she had to get you into spaces that would minimize the damage from the war she found her children in.
Right, and I felt it was selfish of her trying to say, I want to be independent, and she wanted to be a mother, keep her child with her, but I didn't have to be over there, about a lot of... Yeah, I mean, and a survivor for sure. She definitely made me... True story.
The greatest love you will ever know was the love of that woman.
Yeah.
All other love, if you don't measure up to my mama, you ain't happening. Right. I'll just tell you right now.
Because hearing my name when it's full-fledged wars, I'm talking about hundreds of shots going off, and this lady is coming out in a blaze of these bullets that don't have no name, coming for her child. Like, man, It's turning points like that in my life.
That's your Santibar, brother.
Yeah, that I had to go a different direction because I didn't want to put my mother in them type of shit because I knew she was coming for me. She hears some gunshots, my name be the first you hear ringing through these projects. I'm like, oh man.
Let me give you one more piece. I hope I've given you some tools.
Yeah.
Let me give you one more piece. You are Jesus. You are Haru. See, the story they're telling because they misunderstood and thinking that there was one peculiar child. Every one of us is the peculiar child. Every one of us is Christ. Every one of us is Haru. Every woman is Christ. It's man, woman, child. It is the family that is the symbol of divinity. Mm-hmm. Your mama didn't bring you down from the sky in no store basket, right? And God didn't create you and drop you. Ain't no Obatala mold you out of no clay like the Yoruba said. Mm-hmm. A penis went into a vagina. They had an experience, released certain kinds of chemicals. Those chemicals came together and formed a black glob called melanin. That glob turned into your brain, then your spinal cord, then your nervous system, and dictated the rest of your genetic makeup based on the genetic makeup of the sperm and the egg. And there, your mother and father became the aspect of God that creates.
Right.
That is the only way God creates.
And to add this, I was born on my father's birthday.
Hey, but you understand. But you understand the piece I'm saying.
Yes.
That man and that woman coming together is God carrying out its creating process for humans. You understand that? Let it sink in now, because sometimes people don't quite get it.
It's a lot of information. I'm gonna soak it in. Like I said, I have my notes.
Give you a copy,
I don't want to hold up y'all too much time, because I'm frantic right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go live with it tonight.
Like, okay.
We're gonna be live.
Right. So I'm frantic, man. You know.
I'm gonna let you summarize it down, because I've been saying a lot of things, but I've been trying to read your spirit and give you what your spirit, not what your intellect came asking for. I was trying to give you what your spirit was asking me for.
Right. And I'm at ease. I'm good with that. Like that was the closure that I was looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got his spirit. That's why I wanted to talk to him last night, because I wanted to sleep on him. Because when Sonetta called, as excited as he was, he don't usually call me late at night like that. Because the first thing I ask you, what's wrong?
What's going on? Sonetta like, hold it till tomorrow. We going on camera. All right.
Jojo's in town. You ever heard of Jojo?
I flew in, man. I said,
nah, man.
Because I be tired of, like, what's the brother, the doctor? That left the books for the minister?
Dr. Ben.
Dr. Ben, like that, man, I want to touch their hands. I want, like, how I'm shaking y'all hands.
But here's the man who sat with Dr. Ben until he died.
Exactly.
But a lot of the people who should have been there wasn't there.
Yes,
he was there.
That's crazy.
Matter of fact, before I left you that night, last thing Doc said to me sitting there, and we were holding his hand, me and Reggie, he said, "Don't let me fall." You remember the statement? Mm-hmm. Don't let me fall. And I took that to mean, don't let my knowledge die.
And that's what I'm saying to you all. You see what I'm saying? That's the stage I'm at.
Why
I don't want to let y'all fall. So I need all the information.
You don't want to let y'all fall.
Right.
We've had a certain amount of time on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to great places, had the greatest teachers, John Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. We've had all of those.
Dr. Charles Finch.
Oh, yeah, Dr. Finch.
We've had all of them. I've invested in them. We know what we've seen.
Jacob Carruthers, Simmons, But I would like to give y'all at least 3 books that I think if you don't have, you got to get. And one of them is by a young brother. It's just a survey, but it makes sense. It's Robin Walker. The book is called Robin Walker out of the UK, When We Rule, right? And then Check on Diep. Check on Diep, Civilization or Barbarism.
Okay.
And also Check on Diep, The Cultural Unity of Africa. Okay. And then there's a book by a brother named Dr. Wade Noble. When you read this shit, you're going to walk on water. Okay. It's called The Island of Meme, M-E-M-E. You got to get that. Yeah. He used the Haitian Revolution as a metaphor of what's wrong with our minds.
Right.
And he talks about a shattered consciousness and broken black identity. He talks about European mimetic cultural mimetic infection and how to repair yourself and how to what's going to be. And he lets you know that your culture is your immune system. So that book I would say try to get first.
Okay.
Because I walk the museums with you, and you just name the date when you come back.
Yeah.
Right.
This brother, he can walk you.
Museums. I mean, him on West Africa, me in the Nile Valley. So
that's another good point. You've been to the museums yet?
Which one?
Metropolitan downtown.
Nope. And I wanted to, because when I was just here, I wanted to see the museum in D.C., but there's COVID. So is the museums you speaking on open now, or they?
Yeah, they just
COVID.
They just open. They open on Thursday and Friday, Monday, Tuesday. But it is the premium center of European study of ancient Egypt.
Right. They've got more of our history here than
the best of it.
In this museum.
Living out in Egypt.
Right.
Have the classical pieces, right? But they're just pieces. But you need a guide.
Yeah.
You need a guide. And so when you come back, you call us. We'll walk the museums. We could read the Metal Necha, right? So I'm not.
Reggie can read the Metal
Necha, right?
He reads that.
I'm not vibrating, right? I'm not vibrating. It's simple, plain instructions. Simple, plain instructions about life.
Life, right.
Like they say, was Jed, right? Okay, so that's life, power, and stability. That's what the king offered his kingdom.
Right.
Was Jed. That's a code word. That's like loyalty and respect, right? What the people got was Uncle Jocelyn. They got life, they got health, right? That's what they get for following this
set of principles.
Is Uncle Jocelyn wrong? Is that the wrong way to say it?
No.
You can say uncle. We don't say
Professor, let me tell you how bad your student is.
I know how bad it is.
He's the only one that found my name in the mental net.
But I didn't know that. But the point is, see, the pharaoh simply represent a body of knowledge, a body of principles. If you go with me to West Africa now, and we go to my brother the king, Nana Kwabena and Ketsia the Fourth, Nana may have on his sneakers, we may be in our t-shirts, we may go hang out at Captain Hook's and drink some apatashi, and that's like moonshine, African moonshine.
In what part of the West?
Western region of Ghana.
Oh, in Ghana, okay, yeah.
But when he walks into his house and he dressed in that cloth and he sits on that throne, Nana Kwabena and Ketsia, my friend, dies. He becomes the ancestors. And everybody treats him like the ancestors because that's who he becomes. That's who he is. And so the pharaoh is the ancestors, all of the ancestors, in terms of being the embodiment of the body of wisdom, knowledge, concepts, ideas, and principles that is necessary to build the human character, the family character, the community character, the nation character, and the civilization's character. That's what we are talking about. And so when you understand that's the goal, because you can't provide food, clothing, shelter, safety, and security unless you got that. What was happening with you and your mom, so you didn't understand, your mom had aspects of the pharaoh in her. She was providing you with that food, clothing, shelter.
Right.
It may have been in a place with some guns flying off, some other shit going down, but she was on a mission to put you on your mission.
Right.
You know, it's like that diamond. You get the diamond because it took the most pressure. It started off just like all the other rocks, but it was the amount of pressure it had to go through that made it what it is, that it can cut glass.
And that's my birthstone. It's crazy, man. That's my birthstone.
You did your time, you didn't cry, right? You didn't snitch, right?
No, he never.
Those are the things that's what your mother put you in to continue her life through your children.
Because you are her. You are her continuum. You are her and your father. When they gave birth to you, they gave birth to themselves. So when their time was done, they had already created, trained, and packaged themselves into the future.
Right.
That's immortality.
You see? Now think of it deeply now, because religion tried to deflect that, tell us something else.
Right.
But we got to know how the African thing really works. And it's so practical and real. If you just think about, oh shit, this makes sense. It is the only sense it makes. Somebody's trying to make you think, it's like people going around trying to make you think a man could be a woman could be a man. No. That may look good when you make yourself up, but that ain't real.
Right.
Okay? Bring me a honey for my money.
Exactly.
If I'm out there being crazy, stop it.
Yeah.
Let's deal with practical. Let's deal with real. Let's deal with knowability. How can I know this? How do I know this?
Right.
I am knowing, not believing. Believing is the path to knowing. But knowledge leads to understanding. Understanding leads to wisdom. Wisdom leads to enlightenment. Enlightenment leads to true freedom. Ignorance leads to envy. Envy gives birth to jealousy. Jealousy gives birth to hatred. Hatred gives birth to violence, which leads to death.
Simple as that.
It was so simple, people.
You want to close out with any last words or something?
Of course, I'm going to stay in tune with the brothers and, everybody in the community. And I just want to say thank to you all. You bringing a platform, you with the knowledge, being the elder with the knowledge, not selfish to pass it down, to pass it down, to pass it down. And that's the love that I look for.
By the law of nature and the law of the universe, I've got 5 sons in the room. As much my sons as the genetic ones. You see? Because at the end of the day, if the universe being what it is, and it creates the first human being out of itself, all of us come out of that first human being. We are the one. And that's what true love is an understanding of that. When you find the divine in you, you'll recognize it in others. And when you recognize the divine in somebody else in bond, that's love. Even if in our condition we don't recognize it. See, many of us, the divine is working in us, but we don't know it. But somebody else may recognize it, even if you don't recognize the divine in yourself. That's what love is, you know? Because all women are beautiful. All men are handsome. All of us are worthy. But there's a certain vibration of divinity that has manifested in one another that we recognize. I recognize it in your voice when I talked to you last night, so I was going to come here today no matter what. Because one of the things I wanted to do, I have one of my beautiful sisters who's going through chemotherapy right now, and I was on the phone with her. I wanted to talk to her while she was getting her chemo treatment, just to take away some of that other stuff, and we can laugh and talk about foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I changed the time.
Yeah.
But I still was going to make time for you, because I heard in your voice, and when Sonetta came to me the way Sonetta came, I go like, there's a young brother and he's looking for something. And then when Reggie called me this morning, I go, oh, well, now Reggie done called me. I know I got to make this, because I didn't know who you were.
Already too.
You know, and I want you to know I love you. I love the spirit in you. I love the spirit. Meeting Black for the first time. I love the spirit. I see y'all. I see the God in you.
And we
don't
just
be afraid
want
of
y'all to know, like, y'all knowledge and studies don't go unheard or unseen, you know. Like, it's people out here that's, if we consider lost, we finding our way through y'all, you know, and the knowledge that y'all putting out to us. So, and we passing it on. Everybody, I stay shouting out Sonetta TV, Black 102 News, man, Dr. Reggie and Professor Smart. I called you. Man, where Professor Smart is at? You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, man, I always had a grandfather around me. You know what I'm saying? So to lose my grandfathers, y'all become my big brothers and grandfathers again. You know, I'm going to keep me sane.
And
you know?
Let me give you something else in the closing on the nation. And a lot of other people don't understand me because I come so heavily from Malcolm's camp. I was his sister's bodyguard. I took over the mosque after his death, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the world is about truth. The world is about truth. Very few organizations have taken the dead and bring them back to life like the Nation of Islam. True. And people can say whatever they want. Minister may not be perfect, and none of us perfect, and none of us going to be perfect. We are struggling towards perfection. Right. That's why we recreate ourselves in our offsprings, because that is a continuation of our struggle towards perfection to become one with the divine again. But when brothers raise those contradictions, tell them, if I wanted to just take it and make it a metaphor and write a holy book, my holy book will go something like this. There was these dungeons full of the dead of my people. And there was this little light-skinned man who could speak like a mother jabber, let me tell you, brother. And he reached into that dungeon called the penitentiary system and the prison system and the drug addiction and the alcohol addiction and the child abuse, and he raised that dead carcass up and give him a body of information that had him walk around in a suit and tie, bow tie, selling some papers, open a store, building a family, marrying somebody. Listen. The man raised the dead. Malcolm raised the dead with that body of knowledge. Elijah raised the dead with that body of knowledge. Farrakhan raised the dead with that body of knowledge, and other ministers whose names we don't know. It is not about Islam. We could throw the word out the window. It's a body of knowledge that could be traced back to the most ancient African time. And a part of that body of knowledge is to recognize the divinity in you and to recognize the love that is you, and be willing to share that love that is you to build the divinity in somebody else. And that's the wrap right there.
Get our